What's up, guys? Rick here with my top 5 sleepers for this week's CJ Cup. Couple of housekeeping items off the top. There is a full DFS breakdown, but these are golfers that I like a little bit further down the board. I'll be back with a full betting preview this week and 2 live shows on Wednesday. Make sure to check those out. And also note that a lot of times at these types of events, you really want to concentrate on the top of the betting board or the top of the player pool for guys who are actually going to win the golf tournament. Historically, that's where the winners come from. But I am going to go a little bit further down the board. Maybe these guys have a hair more win equity than their odds or their salary might indicate. But really, these are guys that I just think are undervalued further down the board that could have good weeks. All right, let's jump into it. Let's start with Sungjae Im. This is an easy place to start. He's $8,700. He's 45 to 1 to win this golf tournament. So 45 to 1 in a 78-man field, that is absolutely a long shot. And Sungjae, I've been talking about a lot over the last year or so I don't think there's any secrets here, but what I think is he has a couple of really great things going for him. One, he has won on the PGA Tour. I know that kind of sounds silly, but being victorious, being able to say you conquered the field for that week is very important, especially when you get a group of golfers with the caliber of skill that we're going to see this week in Las Vegas. And we're starting to see glimpses again, and I know I've said this about Sungjae one other time, of him rounding back into the form that we would expect. When Sungjae's at his best, he's an elite ball striker. He's great from tee to green, and that's what we saw last week at the Shriners. He gained over 9 strokes from tee to green. He was second to only Martin Laird and James Hahn over the course of the week, and it was his best performance in that stat category since the API, which he finished third, and since the Honda Classic, in which he won. So I don't think I need to say too much more about Sungjae. I have an undying love for him. I just also think he's a really good value this week as well. Next up is Abraham Ancer, who is also 45 to 1 to win the CJ Cup, but he is cheaper than Sungjae Im. He's $8,200 on DraftKings. And I think there's a couple of interesting things about Ancer that make him a kind of a sleeper for this week. We don't know for sure how it's going to play at Shadow Creek this week. You know, reports and a lot of the research that you can do indicate that it's going to play somewhat significantly shorter than the 7,500 yards on the scorecard. That helps guys like Ancer, who are not very long off the tee, but the rest of his game is very solid. And even more than that, what I really like about Ancer, he's just such a competitor. You know, you look at some of the events that he's popped up in and he's had great success. Some of them are very difficult courses. A lot of them are very deep fields. A second place finish at the RBC Heritage, that was a pretty great field. He had a top 15 at the Charles Schwab Challenge. That was one of the best non-major fields ever when the tour returned. A 12th place finish at the WGC Mexico. That's a very similar setup and field consistency that we're going to get this week. So I really like the way that he finds a way to get his name on the first page of the leaderboard like he did last week at the Shriners. He finished 4th. His game's in great shape. It was kind of a backdoor 4th place finish, but that's okay too. And the fact that if we can guess right about how Shadow Creek might play, I think it opens up the door for a lot of these guys that might not be considered by the rest of the industry, who's just kind of looking at the scorecard and saying a bomber needs to win out here. Russell Henley is 90 to 1 and $7,100, and he's not necessarily always a guy that I like to invest in, but I can certainly see the trends for Henley right now. He's coming off, he's in the midst of basically a really good 4 tournament stretch. He's gone 9th, 8th, 25th, and then 27th in his most recent start last week at the Shriners Hospitals for Children Open, but it's the profile of what Russell Henley does. Since the restart, only Justin Thomas and Dustin Johnson have gained more strokes per round from tee to green. Think about that. From tee to green, what I think might be the most important stat since the tour's restart, which is a pretty sizable sample, it goes Justin Thomas, Dustin Johnson, Russell Henley. And in fact, if you only look at strokes gained approach, Russell Henley is the only guy to average over 1 stroke per round in that stretch that's going to be playing this week. So, I mean, it really is an elite ball striker at a course that, again, we're doing a lot of guessing, but most courses on the PGA Tour set themselves up as a second shot course, and that's kind of the idea that I'm getting around Shadow Creek this week. So he's a really cheap price. He's a really long odds golfer for this week, but he's at least the profile of someone that should be able to find success at a lot of courses, as he's done in his last 4 starts, and also what we think Shadow Creek is going to play like this week. Mackenzie Hughes is next, and he has probably made a sleepers video half the time I've made them. I just think he is perpetually underpriced. He's 125 to 1 to win the CJ Cup. He's $6,800 on DraftKings. He is one of the better options in terms of strokes gained tee to green, under 8,000, and then probably longer than like 65 to 1, just in terms of pure strokes gained per round. And actually, his numbers would probably even be better than that if there was shot link data for Corrales Punta Cana, in which Mackenzie Hughes finished third, a solo third in his last start. And then the drum that I've been beating on Mackenzie Hughes over the past couple of months is the type of events that he shows up in, right? He really outperformed his starting position at the Tour Championship. He had a great run in the playoffs. He finished 13th and 10th at the Northern Trust and the BMW. He finished 6th at the Memorial. If you go back before the shutdown, he finished 2nd at the Honda. I mean, these are just a collaboration of difficult golf courses, deep fields, high pressure situations, everything in between. And Mackenzie Hughes continues to find a way to contend and to put his name on the first page or 2 of the leaderboard. So no reason to think he's not going to play well again this week. And he's a really fair price, and he's really deep down the betting board. Adam Long is the last guy. He's $6,600. He is 135 to 1 to win the CJ Cup. And this was kind of, this was tough for me. I was down below Mackenzie Hughes trying to find somebody else, and Adam Long is someone that missed the cut in his last start. That was the Sanderson Farms, but he finished 5th at Corrales Punta Cana. He showed up at the U.S. Open, finished 13th there. But what I really do like about him, and you've probably heard me say this before, he's basically a positive player in every strokes gained category. So he's almost neutral off the tee and around the green. He's a pretty good ball striker, hits his irons well, and he can putt well to the tune of about a 1/4 stroke per round. So there's really no flaw in his game. He's not the longest hitter on the PGA Tour, but he's able to figure out a way to get it done. He's another winner on the PGA Tour. I think he won, oh man, it was the Desert Classic, I believe. Might have been 2 years ago at this point. I mean, time is a flat circle, but the fact that he's won on the PGA Tour, I think, goes a long way at an event like this. He's played well recently, and I don't know what his ceiling is. Maybe it's a 9th place finish in a shorter field event like this with a lot of studs, but I think that is well worth the risk at $6,600, and then maybe getting a few bits of exposure to him in like the top 10 or top 20 market might go a long way as well. So there you go. Those are my top 5 sleepers for this week's CJ Cup. Let me know what you think. Tweet me at RickRunGood or leave a comment below. Best of luck, and I'll talk to you soon.